Good evening, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Wanted to get on tonight and talk about options. And I mentioned the Freedom of Information Act. And you guys have, if you're familiar with my videos here recently, I recently did one on certification versus authentication. And I'm going to show you something here in regards to options and affidavits. Certification is false without a proper affidavit. And before I get started, I want to talk about those options in regards to my last case, because I've got a quote transcript. In other words, it's script that's been transferred somehow. And this is in regards to, like I said, my last case where I was going to enter in evidence into the case. And we were going back and forth as to how the evidence was going to be entered. And we ended up, I ended up telling him I need clarification on that. We can't be ambiguous. And so he comes back and he says it will apply to any proceedings that are conducted before me, before this case is submitted to me for a ruling. And then he said, if you choose to appeal, you can determine the procedures for appeal, but it applies to proceedings today. If I'd have been paying attention and caught it, I'd have realized something here. If you choose to appeal, you can determine the procedures for appeal. If you determine to appeal, you can choose the procedures for appeal. He told me, literally told me I had a choice. Literally told me I had an option. If I'd have recognized it and thought about it and realized that what's happening is it's all an assumption of the facts before the court, and nobody's taken the option to present the truth. Exactly. Hindsight is 2020. Funny how we're in that year, huh? So anyway, I wanted to point that out in regards to options in relating to my documentation. I should have been entering nothing but affidavits. Nothing but affidavits. Because like I said, none of their certificates are followed up with affidavits. And therefore their certifications are false. Whereas my affidavits don't need certification. They're authentic. So there's a very distinct difference. I just wanted to point that out in regards to that. Always remember you have options. And remember your greatest option is to, if you're being asked to certify anything, they're in fact asking for a separate statement, separate handwritten statement with a separate signature, just like they do in the motor vehicle operator's lease. Everything's a lease. They're leasing services, personal contract. So we're going to take a look at the Freedom of Information Act form. And I want you guys to comprehend, I'm not trying to teach you how to use this form as the form it is. I want to point certain things out in regards to your option and that affidavit and how to ask for, or not ask for information, as it's a Freedom of Information Privacy Act request. We're not in the capacity of making requests. We have rights, and we're going to command it. The only way you can do that is through that authentic affidavit. So, this is the Freedom of Information Act. And as I always tell everybody, this is one thing to determine how it is corporate. When you're asking for a Freedom of Information Privacy Act request, it's a commercial transaction, people. It has an Office of Management budget number. It is, in fact, a contract form. Okay? It says Freedom of Information / Privacy Act request. And then you see the OMB number. Tells you the form number. It's under Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. People, if you were born here, do you need to immigrate anywhere? So does their United U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services apply to you? Yourself? No. It only applies to the U.S. citizen that was conferred U.S. citizenship. Now, when we're talking about the Department of Homeland Security, we're talking about that Admiralty branch. It's the Admiralty branch with the commercial contract. Okay? And that commercial contract is set up as the U.S. Citizen and Immigration Services. They're the contractor under Department of Homeland Security supervision. And right here, the first note on the document, and we see this, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, that's just their little stamp seal on the right-hand corner. It says, note, use of this form is optional. It's optional. Why is it optional? Because you're not required to contract. You can do it in a private capacity. USCIS accepts any written request. Remember, again, that motor vehicle operator's lease where I was telling you they want a separate handwritten statement. That is handwritten, not printed or typed up and then electronically produced on a machine in print form. They are specifically saying accepts any written request, regardless of format. This is uniform language. Again, like I said, this is Admiralty. How to file an Admiralty claim. Like I've said, you go to the JAG. In filing an Admiralty claim, no particular form is required. Regardless of format, written request. That sounds like an affidavit to me, folks. Provided that the request complies with the applicable requirements. Applicable requirements under the Freedom of Information Act and the Privacy Act. However, using this form can help ensure we have the appropriate information to handle your request. We are talking Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, directly relative to customs duties, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, Department of Homeland Security, Department of the Treasury, Importer Security Filing. A widely recognized widely recognized commercially accepted identification number for this party may be provided in lieu of the name and address. Buyer, that's for seller, buyer. A widely recognized Commercially accepted identification number for this party may be provided in lieu of the name or address. Importer of record. Social Security number. You're the importer of record giving the data elements. Quit it. When you realize how to quit it and change the form and filing an admiralty claim without using words denoting numbers, general or gender and so forth, and just stating the facts, you might be able to finally get this. You don't need this form. You can use the information on this form. Like I said, it says the requester's full name. Well, excuse me, don't you have something here that says I can use a number in lieu of the name and address? So if we write out an affidavit and we place that number in lieu of the name and address, just like I showed you on the homemade stamp, the Social Security number without the dashes. You tender means to offer. You tender the Social Security number without the dashes in lieu of the name and address. Goes on to say type of request. Oops. If you are filing this request, I'm not filing this request. I'm going to file or send a private communication with a command. This request on behalf of another individual, respond as it would apply to that individual. That's why I'm going to offer a number in lieu of the name and address. Freedom of Information Act or Amendment of Record. That says PA only. Privacy Act only. Okay? So amendment of record. We don't want to amend the record. We want an expungement of the record. We don't really care about any of their information. It only applies to them. Why would I want their information? I want them to expunge my information. This is the way I would do it. You guys can do it. Again, like I said, I wouldn't use this form other than the information on it to determine how I should write up a affidavit. If you answered yes to item number 1, remember we spoke about the definition of item. We are talking about a contract. We are talking about a contractual form, and therefore it is a commercial item. All this data, the data elements, if you give a family name and you put it in common English, upper and lower case, and then the first name and then the middle name, you've given them data elements in a situation in formation of contract. They offered you this form, you accepted it, and then put information on here, data elements, in formation of contract. If you don't want it to be a contract, you don't fill out this form. You give a handwritten statement, not a request. We're not going to give them a request. They accept any request, so therefore they must accept demand or commands as well. Their entire system is dependent upon commands, ancient documents. And then it goes on, it says, here's a good one. For the address, in care of name, if any. I highly suggest if you're doing anything through the mail, you use an in care of name or general post, not general delivery. Delivery is not private. It says street number, name, apartment number, all that, city, town, state. They want all of this stuff. Postal code, country. Are you the subject of record for this request? No. If you answered yes to item 1, skip to part 3. If you answered no to item 1, provide the information requested in part 2. An attorney, an accredited representative of a qualified organization, a family member. I guess that's it, family member. An attorney, an accredited representative of a qualified organization. We're going to look that one up. I'll come back to you on that one. We're not going to do it now, but a family member. What is a family member? Notice they're capitalizing family and member. If you're going to use this form, you can overwrite it as well and put in 2D, next of kin. Comprehend, this is still a contract, even if you use this form. But I assure you a handwritten statement signed under penalty of perjury affidavit is the best way to go. By my signature, I consent. This is requester certification. Again, this is why I say you have to make a handwritten statement to certify it. They're only asking for a signature and then saying this is a certification because you agree. Are you comprehending what you agree to? First of all, it says by. My signature. So if you're going to use by here, then shouldn't you use by here? Showing that the requester's signature is still in representative form. I consent to pay all costs incurred for search, duplication, and review of documents up to $25. See the what is the filing fee section. Again, we're not filing. I wouldn't suggest filing. You're filing data elements into their public record. Again, I suggest doing a handwritten affidavit form, looking for the similar information or providing the required information to get the record expunged and not amended. And you guys can go ahead and read through this. It's easy to look up. Just Freedom of Information Act form PDF. Signature of subject of record. The subject of record can't give a signature unless he's the representative by. So again, it should be by, showing again it's a representative form. And that the signature is authorized. Again, through the number in lieu of. That's that Social Security number. You are authorized representative of that number. Can you offer that number in lieu of as the authorized representative? If not, then who can get that job done? Because I can't pay, because I'm not the obligor, and I am clearly not liable giving a unambiguous signature of an authorized representative for the person named in the instrument for the signature on the instrument. So we have a lot of clarifying to do when we come to these forms. They are deceptive, I assure you. Like I said, we're talking Department of Homeland Security, and yet they're using a commercial form. Look up Department of Homeland Security on Dun & Bradstreet. Tell me if they don't have a DUNS number. Look up U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. Tell me if they don't have a Dun & Bradstreet number. This will give you important clues, people. Anyway, again, like I said, you have options. All you have to do is do your research and find out what they are. All of their certifications are false because none of those people will come up with a handwritten statement verifying the facts that are true. Because they're just data elements somebody else collected and somebody else certified, and then they certified, and then somebody else certified. How many certifications are there without affidavits? You know, it's like this voter fraud. These people don't even realize, I'm not even part of this government. I've never once registered to vote, let alone, or never once vote, let alone even registered. Yet I can tell you that according to the way some of this stuff's happening, they're commercial obligations. Title 18 of the United States Code. And it tells you that the United States is obligated for all stamps, United States stamps, and cancel United States stamps. Now, if the voters are entering their ballots through the mail, and there's an obligation of tax because they're using stamps, which is what is used to duly pay taxes, to show proof that taxes have been duly paid, is by stamp. And they're throwing all these envelopes away and then not recording the definitive paper form ballots in the electronic form like they're supposed to without keeping that envelope. That's the same thing as taking a promissory note and separating it from its contract. Now it's no longer valid. Same thing with these mail-in votes. Unless those mail-in ballots in paper definitive form are kept with the envelope and then communicated electronically, showing proof and evidence of both without either of them being destroyed, then that vote can count. Otherwise, you've already destroyed there's already a breach of contract because there's a breach of trust. You've already destroyed trust property by getting rid of the trust instrument it was used to ship in. You've lost chain of title. Now, you can ask any attorney about that, and they're all going to sit there and quibble, quabble, wow. But operational law says if you lost chain of title somewhere, then it's not valid from that point on. I'm sorry to tell you, but chain of title starts from the trust end. If that postmaster stamped it, and it went through, that shows a point of validity. If that point of validity shows a consistent electronic stamping, then all of a sudden you have a bunch coming in at the late hour that are hand stamped, that have potentially been backdated, and you have witnesses testifying to this. I highly suggest you people open your ears. Every last thing they're doing about this voting is treason. Like President Trump said a long time ago, if you even go out and register to vote, you're the one that's committing treason. You're allowing them to do this. On the obverse, if you did go out and vote and did vote by mail, you have the option to stand up just like President. Say, I believe my vote may not have been counted accordingly. Here's my affidavit. Here's the number in lieu of that vote should have been registered under. Is there such an indication on the record? Just like all the dead people that are voting. My God, the guy that's 170 years old, congratulations, you're an old dude. I can see why you voted by mail. I mean, being 170 years old, I can't possibly, if I was 170 years old, I'd never be able to make it to the voters' polls. I would have to send my vote in by mail too. So congratulations, dude, 170 years old and you managed to vote by mail. Great vote, valid as hell. We have options, people. Even if you did vote, you still have an option. Don't give up. You have an option to put in a statement, clear and concise. I believe my vote may not have been recorded appropriately on the public record. Here's the number in lieu of that, and I'd like to bring that record forth to make sure that my vote was counted appropriately. This is a matter of national importance. Pure and simple. So anyway, think about this, people. Again, I only show you the form to show you the ambiguity in it, how it's all construed and deceptive and everything, and that if you are going to use it, they are okay to use, but I only suggest in doing so by writing up your own documents. Again, affidavit form. So remember that, folks. And in the meantime, I'm going to post my other forum links. Again, I do post that PayPal link because I hope people will hit that PayPal button and share some love. So please consider that. In the meantime, also comprehend, I want you to share the information, the videos, and all those different forum links. Get them out there. That's your duty too. I'm doing my duty by putting this out there. I hope I get you guys to comprehend it appropriately. Like I said, you don't have to put those, you're not limited to those three options. The attorney, the representative, or a family member. You can use different words so that you can clarify your point that I'm the next of kin. Superior and paramount. So think about all this stuff, and please hit that PayPal link, but also remember, hit all the other stuff and share. That's your duty just like mine. We are of equal stations. So remember, I wouldn't do this if it weren't for you guys. God bless. I love you. Have a great night. Bye.